Welcome to the channel, everyone. Hopefully, you had a blessed day. Today, we're going to read the Psalm 104 and 78. So, let's go with the 104 from the King James. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, thou art very great. Thy art clothed me with honor and majesty. Who coverest thyself with light as with a garment, who stretcheth out the heaven like a curtain, who layeth the beams of his chamber in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariots, who walketh upon the wing of the wind, who maketh his angel spirit his minister a flame fire, who laid the foundation of the earth that it should not be removed forever. Thou coverest it with the deep as with a garment. The water stood above the mountains. At thy rebuke they fled. At the voice of thy thunder they hasted away. They go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys into the place which thou hast founded for them. They hast set a bound that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth. He sendeth the springs into the valley, which run among the hill. They give drink to every beast of the field. The wild asses quench their thirst. By them shall the fowl of the heaven have their habitation, which sing among the branches. He watered the hill from his chamber. The earth is satisfied with the fruits of thy works. He caused the grass to grow for the cattle, the herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth, and wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart. The trees of the Lord are full of sap, the cedars of Lebanon which he had planted, where the birds make their nests. As for the stork, the, the fir trees are her house. The he hills are a refuge for the wild goat, and the rock for the conies. He appointed the moon for seasons, the sun knoweth his going down. Thou makest darkness, and it is night, wherein all the beasts of the forest do creep forth. The young lion roar after their prey, and seek their meat from God. The sun arised, they gather themselves together, and lay them down in their dens. Man goeth forth unto his work, and to his labor until the evening. O Lord, how manifold are thy works! In wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches. So is this great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping, innumerable, but small and great beasts. There go the ships. There is that Leviathan whom thou hast made to play therein. These wait all upon thee, that thou mayest give them their meat in due season. That thou givest them, they gather, thou openest thy hand, they are filled with good. Thou hiddest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die, and return to their dust. Thou rendest forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. The glory of the Lord shall endure forever. The Lord shall rejoice in his works. He looketh on the earth, and it trembled. He touches the hills, and they smoke. I will sing unto the Lord as long as I live. I will sing praise to my God while I have my being. My meditation of him shall be sweet. I will be glad in the Lord. Let the sinners be consumed out of the earth, and let the wicked be no more. Blessed thou the Lord, O my soul. Praise ye the Lord. So that was the 104th Psalm. What a beautiful Psalm it is. So go. Let's go with the 78. 78. Give ear of my people. No, give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ear to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, shewing to the generations to come the praises of the Lord and his strength and his wonderful works that he had done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generations to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the work of God, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, turned back in the day of battle. They kept not the covenant of God, and refused to walk in his law, and forget his works and his wonders that he had shewed them. Marvelous through did he in the sight of their father, in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters to stand as an heap. In the daytime also he led them with the cloud, and all the night with a light of fire. He, he clave he clawed the rock in the wilderness. He gave them drink as out of the great depths. He brought streams also out of the rock, and caused water to run down like rivers. And they sinned yet more against him, and provoking the Most High in the wilderness. And they tempted God in their heart by asking meat for their lust. Yea, they spake against God. They said, Can God furnish the table in the wilderness? Behold, he smote the rocks, that, that the waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Therefore the Lord heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in God, and trusted not in his salvation. Through he had commanded the clouds from above, and opened the doors of heaven, and had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven. Man did eat angels' food, he sent them meat to the full. He caused an east wind to blow in the heaven, and by his power he brought in the south wind. He rained flesh also upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as the sand of the sea. And ye let it fall in the midst of their camps, round about their habitations. So they eat were well filled, for he gave them their own desire. They were not estranged from their lust, but while their meat was yet in their mouth, the wrath of God came upon them, and slew the fattest of them, and smote down the chosen man of Israel. For all this they sinned still, and believed not for his wondrous works. Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and inquired early after God. And they remembered that God was their rock, and the high God their Redeemer. Nevertheless, they did flatter him with their mouth, and they lied unto him with their tongues. For their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity and destroyed them not. Yea, many of time turned he his anger away, and he did stir up all his wrath. For he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passed away and cometh not again. How oft did they provoke him in the wilderness, and grieved him in the desert? Yea, they turned back and tempted God, and limited the Holy One of Israel. They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy, how he had wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zoan, and had turned their rivers into blood and their floods that they could not drink. He sent divers sorts of fleas amongst them, which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them. He gave also their increase into the caterpillar, and their labor into the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost. He gave up their cattle also to hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation and trouble, by sending evil angels amongst them. He made a way to his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence, and smote all of the firstborn in Egypt, the chief of their strength in the tabernacle of Ham, but made his own people to go forth like sheep, and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. And he led them on safety, so that they feared not. But the sea overwhelmed their enemies, and he brought them to the border of his sanctuary, even to this mountain which his right hand had purchased. He cast out the heathen also before them, and divided them inheritance by line, and made tribe of Israel to dwell in their tents. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High God, and kept not his testimonies, but turned back and dealt unto unfaithfulness like their fathers. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow, for they provoked him to anger with their high places, and moved him to jealousy with their graven image. When God heard this, he was wroth, and greatly abhorred Israel, so that he forsake the tabernacles of Shiloh, the tent which he placed amongst them, and delivered his strength into captivity, and his glory into the enemy's hand. He gave his people over also unto the sword, and was wroth with his inheritance. The fire consumed their young men, and their maidens were not given to marriage. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows made a lamentation. Then the Lord awaked as one out of sleep, and like a mighty man that shouted by reason of wine. And he smote his enemy in the hinder parts. He put them to a perpetual reproach. Moreover, he refused the tabernacle of Joseph, and chose not the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Judah, the Mount Zion which he loved. And he built his sanctuary like high places, like the earth which he had established forever. He chose David also his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds, from following the eyes great with young. He brought him to feed Jacob his people, and Israel his inheritance. So he fed them according to the integrity of his heart, and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. That was a beautiful psalm, remembering how much after the Exodus, the people of Israel were like really like provoking the Lord, and still the Lord kept his commandments and made them go through, but chose the tribe of Judah. This is a beautiful, beautiful psalm. Hopefully, we're going to see you on another video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and see you. Shalom.